German Togoland, a model colony in West Africa, 1884–1914. In the late 19th century, as European powers carved up Africa during the Scramble for Africa, Germany emerged as a colonial force. Among its earliest African acquisitions was Togoland, a narrow strip of land on the Gulf of Guinea that would become a showcase for German colonial ambition. From 1884 to 1914, Togoland, modern-day Togo and part of eastern Ghana, was ruled by Germany and transformed into what colonial officials called a model colony, with infrastructure development, economic planning, and centralized governance. While often presented as a successful colony in European accounts, German rule also brought exploitation, forced labor, and resistance. The Treaty of 1884, beginning of German rule. In July 1884, German explorer and diplomat Gustav Nachtigal signed a treaty of protection with local chief Malapa III in the coastal town of Togoville. The treaty marked the formal start of German control over the area. Unlike some other colonial territories acquired by military force, German Togoland was initially established through diplomatic agreements, though power imbalances and coercion were inherent in these treaties. Togoland soon became part of Germany's small but growing colonial empire, which also included present-day Namibia, Cameroon, and Tanzania. A model colony, German administrators prided themselves on running Togoland efficiently and profitably. It was one of the few colonies that did not require financial subsidies from Berlin, and was often used as an example of Germany's supposed colonial competence. Key features included infrastructure development. The Germans built railways, roads, and telegraph lines connecting the coast to the interior. The Lome-Anejo Railway and other transport links helped facilitate trade and movement of goods. Cash crop agriculture. Togoland became a major exporter of cocoa, coffee, and cotton. The Germans introduced plantation farming and encouraged or coerced local farmers to grow crops for export. Administration. The colony was ruled by a relatively small number of German officials who implemented a centralized and bureaucratic system. Native chiefs were often co-opted into the colonial administration under indirect rule. Education and Germanization. The Germans established schools aimed at Germanizing the local population. While education was more widespread than in some other colonies, it focused on creating a class of obedient clerks and laborers. German was the language of instruction, and curricula emphasized loyalty to the Kaiser and Christian morality. Forced labor and resistance. Despite its portrayal as a peaceful colony, Togoland's prosperity came at a high human cost. The German administration relied heavily on forced labor for public works and plantations. Africans were often conscripted to build roads, railways, and administrative buildings under harsh conditions. Resistance, though sporadic, did occur. Some local groups, such as the Kaber people, resisted colonial policies, taxes, and labor requirements. These uprisings were typically met with swift and brutal reprisals. The end of German rule, 1914. Germany's control of Togoland ended abruptly with the outbreak of World War I. In August 1914, British and French troops invaded the colony. After brief resistance, the German administration surrendered on August 26, 1914. The territory was then divided into British and French zones, marking the end of Togoland as a unified colony. Later, under League of Nations mandates, British Togoland would be incorporated into Ghana, while French Togoland would become modern Togo. Legacy. The German period left a lasting imprint on Togo. Some railways and infrastructure built during the era remain in use. German influence is still visible in architecture, town planning, and even surnames in parts of the country. The legacy is also one of colonial exploitation, cultural disruption, and forced assimilation, common threads in the wider story of Africa under European rule. Though brief, the German colonization of Togo played a key role in shaping the country's modern borders, economy, and colonial memory.